Hey, what's up guys, it is Psycho or Sam here and welcome back to my channel guys, and today I'm very excited to bring you guys a brand new episode of C# tutorials in Unity. In this tutorial, or at least in this episode, we're going to be looking at point system in Unity. We're going to be using Visual Studio once again to compile the code and edit the code, and we're obviously using Unity and we're using C# as a programming language. I was planning to make like JavaScript tutorial videos too, but it's kind of like obsolete now, like nobody ever uses JavaScript pretty much. So but if you guys would like to see something like that, let me know in the comments down below. And once again, this video was also suggested by you guys, the viewers. So if the audience has anything to offer in terms of suggestions and recommendations about what videos should come up next, let me know in the comments down below, because I am making videos that are dependent on your guys' comments. So just let me know and we'll be making it. And without further ado, I think that we could just get started with this video, honestly. And I want to talk about the scene real quick. I just have a normal scene once again. So I just created a new scene. I added the rigid body FPS controller from the standard assets. If you don't know how to import that, you can just right click inside of your project tab anywhere that is empty, and you just select import package, and you choose characters. There we go. I obviously have it, so I'm not going to click that again. So I just have also a folder that is called for point system, which is the folder that I'm going to locate all my scripts in, so that I don't really have a trouble finding my scripts again, because this is quite a huge folder. But if you don't want to have this folder, or if you don't want to create this folder, you don't have to. But obviously I would suggest you, if you want to keep it a little bit more intact. But anyway, without further ado, we're gonna get started with this. So oh, and also I do have a plane, which is a ground, so it's not really that special. But basically I'm going to go to my rigid body FPS controller, and I'm going to name that to player, because that is obviously our player. And I'm also going to tag it for player. There we go. And you'll realize that I have a few other tags like NPC, food, water, and fireplace. Those are added because these are from my previous videos, previous C# tutorial videos. So you don't really need them. You actually don't need them. So I just have them because I was too lazy to delete them after that video. So, and I also want to keep it up, because if I ever continue making the software or the system that I was creating in my previous tutorials, then I will return to it and have these tags that I'm gonna have to use basically. So we just named it for player, and I want to go to my plane and I want to call it ground, so that we know what the object is used for. And if you don't have a ground, obviously you're gonna need one, because the player has a rigid body, meaning that it's going to be affected by gravity, so it's gonna fall through your map if you don't have a ground that is going to reflect it. So we could actually just start playing and try the movement out, so that just to make sure that it's we're moving and there's no problem with the script. Obviously we didn't create the script, it's by Unity, but we still want to make sure that everything is intact and working properly, so that we can actually keep on making our systems. So just to make sure. I also want to continue by creating a new box collider for the player. So I'm gonna go to player, and inside the inspector I'm gonna click on add component and then pick box collider. And the reason why I'm doing this is basically because we're gonna use collision detection for when we're actually picking up like spheres or coins or whatever that we're gonna be using. And to have a collision detection, we obviously need to have a collider first and foremost, so that we can actually detect where the area we're colliding with is actually located. So if the player is triggering the coin, we're obviously going to pick it up and then add to the point system of the player. And I also want to increase the size a little bit, or the scale perhaps, just so that we don't have it too small, because obviously we don't want the player to be blocked out. So we wanted to overextend the capsule collider that the player already has and comes with. And last but not least, I also want to check is trigger in the box collider, not the capsule collider, because that's gonna make it fall down once again. So just check is trigger in box collider and you'll be done with it. And next up, I can actually create the script that we're gonna be using for the player. So it's a new C# script, and we're gonna call it points, perhaps. I think we can call it for points, or else just player, just to make it. Oh, actually, I do have a player script already, so I'm gonna delete that, and I will create a new C# script again, and I'm just gonna call it for points. There we go. Sorry for the confusion there, but you can call yours for player if you want to. It's not really that important. I just got an error because I already have a player script inside of my scene, or inside of my project, sorry. So I'm just gonna drag this onto the player so that we have the component added. And obviously I'm gonna open it up so that we can edit the code, and it's gonna launch up with Visual Studio. Once again, if you don't have Visual Studio, you could grab it. I think it costs a little bit, but I'm not sure about the price. So I also took a little bit of feedback from you guys. First and foremost, the video should be synced now with the audio because I'm not using Bandicam anymore. That software is shitty as hell because it wasn't syncing my audio with the visual. And I'm using now OBS instead, and it seems to be working properly, and I hope it's working, or else I'm gonna have to search for another software, obviously, but let me know if it's fine. And besides, the second feedback or suggestion that I kind of like accepted by you guys is the fact that I zoomed in a little bit, like slightly in Visual Studio. That should be helping though. Like a lot of people were like, well, you should zoom in a little bit. So yeah, that should be fine. If you want me to zoom in more or less, zoom out perhaps, just let me know in the comments down below and I'll do it for the next video. So we're gonna start off by creating a public integer. So it's gonna be a public int, and then we're gonna call it points. That's my phone. I'm sorry for that. And there it goes again. Hold on, let me just take it to sound off. There we go. So we have a public int points, and we're gonna create another variable that is going to be called private this time, and we're gonna have it as game object, or yeah, we could actually do that, triggering obj. So obj stands for object. So instead of writing object, I just write obj, and it's kind of easier. I could just write object, but I guess you guys will understand when I say like triggering obj, so it should be fine. And I also want to say, actually we'll come back to it. So we're gonna create the voids now, and I want to say void update, and then create a new void called void on trigger enter, and then inside of the parameters we can use collider other. There we go. And yeah, that should be fine. We don't really need on trigger exit, I guess. If we do, I'll come back to it and create it, so shouldn't be a problem. Now we can actually check for, actually let's go back to Unity and place the objects that we're going to collide with in order to get points. So as you can see inside of the inspector, now we have a new field called points, and it says 0 because we haven't added any points yet. So you can obviously enter like the default value that you want for points, which is regularly 0 because you obviously don't want your player to start with points of 100 or so, right? So you want to start the player from scratch with 0 points and then pick the points up by the time, under the time of progressing in the game, obviously. So should be fine. I'm gonna create spheres as point pickups. So we're gonna be using spheres in this video. Obviously you can use any other object you want to. You're not limited to any object actually, like in terms of form and in terms of whatever object and mesh it is. You can use pretty much whatever you want, but I'm gonna use spheres to make it easy for myself. So I'm also going to call this pickup 1, and oh, it didn't save, sorry. Pickup 1, enter, and I'm gonna duplicate this. Actually, hold on. I'll go to pickup 1 now. I just deleted the duplication, by the way. So I'll go to pickup 1. I'll click on tag, add tag, and I'm gonna click on the plus icon here, and I'm gonna enter point pickup. There we go, and then click save, obviously. So now, important guys, you want to go back to pickup 1, and then you want to click tag again, and then pick that tag. So it's not going to tag it automatically for you just because you created the tag. That's just the creation of the tag, and then you have to tag it by yourself once again. So you have to assign the tag to it, like entitle it to the tag. So that's a lot of tags right there. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Now I can actually duplicate it. And the reason why I wanted to do this before duplicating is because now when I duplicate this, like when I duplicate pickup 1, it's going to duplicate with all the components the same as the source, also the tag, including the name and layer and all that. So the tag, you know, if I were to duplicate it by one before creating the tag, obviously I would have to tag it all, like for every object that I would duplicate, I would have to tag it again. So instead of doing that, and instead of like working with that, I just duplicated with the tag so that it's automatically added when I copy paste. So I'm just gonna duplicate a few of these, not too many, like 4 should be good enough. I just want to have several because I want to test out if it's working properly, obviously. So instead of pickup, well, the name isn't really important, but I guess you could use it. So I'm just gonna name these. It's not really important for you once again, but I just want to do it so that I can actually keep an eye out for every single one of them. So now I can actually go back, or no, hold on. I'm gonna go back to the pickup, and I'm going to create a new sphere collider. So I'm not gonna only use the one that is already that comes with the sphere, but I am going to create one new one also. So I could just actually, to make it so much easier for ourselves, we can do like this. So you click on pickup 1, you hold down shift, and you click on pickup 4. That means it's going to highlight every single one of them, the ones that you created obviously, but make sure that you don't highlight the player, directional light, or any other object except for these pickups. And now you're gonna add a new sphere collider, and that is going to add the sphere collider to every single one of them. So now you can actually create, or just go to radius here in the sphere collider and take it to 7. There we go. And you also want to check the is trigger once again, because you don't want it to, basically when you check the is trigger checkbox, it makes sure that you can walk through these collision detection areas. So it's not going to, you know, push back the player just because he's walking inside of it, which is exactly what we need. I was planning to add like a rigid body, but we don't really need it because we can add them float. So it's not a problem. And yeah, that is pretty much it. So you can just unmark them, I guess you could say. And now you can go back to Visual Studio. Finally, we're back to C#. So inside of void on trigger enter, I'm actually going to say if other.tag is equal to, what did we call it? Was it pickup? Hold on, I'm just gonna check it. Go back to Unity. We tagged them for pickup as well, right? Point pickup. All right, good job. Good thing I checked it out because I honestly was going to make that mistake. So just make sure that you have the same text here as the tag name. So just make sure it's actually the same with the uppercase and lowercase letters and stuff. So it's really sensitive in that case. So if other.tag is equal to point pickup, we're going to say points plus equal, let's say we're gonna give 50 points for every sphere that the player picks up. So we're gonna say 50, and we're gonna click enter, and then we're gonna say triggering obj is equal to other.game object. There we go. So what this is going to do is we're gonna set the variable that we created earlier, which is the game object triggering object, into we're gonna set that variable to other.game object that we're actually colliding with. And why we're doing it is because we want to delete that object. So we're gonna say triggering, or actually we could say destroy immediately or immediate. I don't remember the function, but we're gonna check. So destroy immediate triggering object. That's pretty much it. All right, it was destroy immediate. So this is basically going to destroy, or aka delete that object. So as soon as we pick it up, we're gonna get points, which is 50 right now. We can edit that number. And we're also going to set triggering object into the other object that we're triggering with, the pickup object. And then we're going to destroy the object so that we don't have the game bug out and give us 50 points every frame. That wouldn't be fun. Not a really challenging game, is it? So I think we can test it out. It should be working now. We can just walk onto this. Oh, destroying game objects immediately is not permitted during physics trigger contact. Oh, I see. Well, can we use regular destroy? I think they don't let you use regular destroy, if I remember correctly. I could be wrong. Oh, yeah, I was wrong. Well, good. I'm happy that I was wrong. So we can go back to player here while playing, and you'll see that points is 50 now. So we can walk up to another one, and you'll see points is 100, 150, and 200, which is all the available points to pick up right now. So in order to have more of these, you can obviously just duplicate one of these pickups, place it whatever you want, and the player is going to be able to pick it up. And the best part about this is the fact that you don't really need to use a external script for the pickup. You can just click or have it through the point system of the player instead of actually going there and, you know, doing everything once again. And you can obviously make this a little bit more advanced, and you can say, if we just cut this out, so I'll just highlight all these 3 lines and cut it out, and then we'll say triggering is equal to true, and that's a new variable. So we're gonna go back to the variable field here, and we're gonna say private bool triggering. And now inside of void update, we're gonna say if triggering, basically if we're triggering with the object that we're actually colliding with, we're going to set, we're gonna have the player to click like if input.get key down keycode.e, or e with uppercase, there we go. So we're basically checking if the player is colliding with the point pickup, and if it is, well, we're setting triggering to true, which is a variable that we just recently created. It's a boolean, that's very important. And inside of void update, then we're actually checking if we're triggering. So if triggering is equal to true. By the way, you can write it like if triggering instead of if triggering is equal to true. So this is the same as this. So you can use that for shortening. But I could just say true, just to make sure that you guys understand actually what I mean by that. If there are any like incredibly extremely new people that are watching my channel right now, so I just want to make sure that I am newbie friendly. So we're gonna say if input.get key down keycode e, meaning that if the player clicks e, and we're gonna say we can just paste it back again, and that's gonna ensure that we add points by 50. Triggering object is going to, oh, by the way, we can't use triggering object is equal to other object because we're not having the parameter variable inside of the void update, because this is obviously a completely different void, and the collider other, which is the variable that we're using, or the parameter perhaps, it was created inside of this function, not the update function. So we're gonna say here triggering object is equal to other.game object, and that's gonna be done. And we once again destroy this object inside of void update. So now we can save and go back to Unity, and now we're gonna walk up to it, and it's not gonna give us any points to start with. So I can just highlight player again here just to make sure that we see the points here, and I walk up to it, and it obviously doesn't get destroyed. I can just walk inside of it, but it's not gonna change anything, and I'm stuck inside of it now. So I can click E, and I'm gonna pick it up. So I can walk up to another one again, and the other one. Once again, all these are getting the same effect because I just duplicated them, and I do have the same tag on every single one of them. So it's not really, you know, that complicated actually. It's really just a simple system, but I guess it's an efficient way of working. So I can click E again. Obviously, it's gonna pick it up. E again, walk up to it, E, and walk up to it. And I also want to showcase, if you go to the scene view, and if I highlight the sphere collider that we created on the pickup, so not the sphere collider that was coming with it, but the one that we created. you can see these green lines, and that basically is the green lines that we created from increasing the radius. So if I walk here with the player, you can see that I'm actually inside of these green lines. If I perhaps just enable this to the box collider, there we go. So you can see my green lines of the box collider is actually inside of the sphere, meaning that we are triggering. And you can use many different methods for this. Like if we're triggering, you can say print player is triggering with the what should we say, plus triggering object.name. So this is going to print or like print inside of the debug log, player is triggering with the whatever object name that is. So we can actually play around with this a little bit and have fun. So we can say pickup 1 is going to be called Psycho TV. Just gonna have some fun with this. And pickup 2 can be used for, or called, I don't know, pickup, like with uppercase letters only. And I can walk up to it and you can see, oops, just go back to console. Player is triggering with this guy, Psycho TV. There we go. So that's pretty much it. And obviously there's a lot more into it. If you want to like make it a little bit more advanced than this, you can use whatever kind of system you want to make it more advanced, but this is pretty much the gist of it. So these are like the basics, and if you guys would like me to make a little bit more difficult tutorials as well, give me suggestions. I'm fully open to feedback and suggestions. So, and also obviously once again, if you have any feedback, let me know them as well, because I do like interacting with you guys and then having or implementing your guys' comments, feedback, suggestions, recommendations, whatever, into my videos. So obviously I need some help from you guys as well. So yeah, that's pretty much it, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video. I know that it was a very simple tutorial compared to my regular ones, but I kind of want to go into this kind of stuff too and teach out the basics. And mainly why I made this video so easy is because a lot of people on my channel obviously suggest me to make this video, so I was like, why not? Since I'm making this series anyway. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Thank you guys so much for watching this video, guys. I hope you all enjoyed. If you did, make sure to hit the like button down below. It really supports me a lot. And make sure to subscribe if you want to stay up to tune for new videos coming soon and not miss anything. And to extend that, you can click that little bell icon right below. Beside the subscribe button, if you click that subscribe button, the bell icon is going to pop up. And you can click that and you'll receive a notification whenever I upload a new video that's a level design, a tutorial, tips and tricks, you know, whatever related to Unity, Unreal Engine, CryEngine, whatever. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Once again, thank you so much for watching, guys, and I'll catch you guys later. Peace out.